The most powerful people who ever lived all knew the same secret. It wasn't their armies. It wasn't their gold. It wasn't even their crowns. It was you, your fear, your memory, your hunger to belong to something bigger than yourself. Every tyrant in history, from the marble halls of Rome to the frozen prisons of Siberia, pulled the same 7 levers. They did not read the same books. Most of them never met. They were separated by oceans, by languages, by thousands of years. And yet they all arrived at the exact same 7 techniques, as if power itself were teaching the same dark lesson to every student who reached for it. Here is the part that should keep you awake tonight. Those 7 levers still work. They are being pulled right now, and at least 3 of them are being pulled on you. Let's begin with the oldest one of all. Manufacture an enemy. Give a frightened people someone to hate, and they will follow you straight into hell and thank you for the directions. Joseph Stalin understood this better than any man alive. He invented an enemy he called the Wrecker, an invisible saboteur supposedly hiding inside every factory, every farm, every family in the Soviet Union. There was no Wrecker. There never had been. But the accusation alone was enough to send millions to the gulags and the execution cellars. Neighbors informed on neighbors. Children denounced their own parents to prove their loyalty. An entire nation turned itself inside out, hunting a ghost that Stalin had invented on paper. And centuries earlier, the Emperor Nero showed just how far this lever could be pushed. When a great fire consumed Rome, the people grew suspicious that Nero himself had lit it to clear land for his palace. He needed the blame to land somewhere else, anywhere else. So he chose the Christians, a small and defenseless minority, and he accused them of burning the city. Then he had them crucified, thrown to wild dogs, and set alight in his own gardens to serve as human lamps for his evening parties. The crowds cheered. Because a frightened mind does not reason, it obeys. A frightened crowd never asks the difficult question. It only asks for a protector. And the tyrant is always, always ready to volunteer. The second lever is the lie, but not the small, nervous lie of an ordinary man. Something far larger. Psychologists today have a name for the mechanism behind it, the illusory truth effect. Repeat any statement often enough, and the human brain slowly begins to accept it, not because it has been proven, not because there is a shred of evidence, but simply because it has become familiar. Familiarity feels like truth. Your own mind betrays you. Tyrants understood this centuries before science ever gave it a name, so they never wasted their breath on small lies. They told a lie so colossal, so total, and so endlessly repeated that to doubt it out loud felt like insanity. Painted on every wall, sung in every anthem, taught in every schoolroom until the children could recite it in their sleep. And here is the terrible genius of it. The bigger the lie, the more believable it becomes, because the ordinary person cannot imagine anyone having the sheer audacity to distort reality on such a monstrous scale. Say it long enough, and the lie stops sounding like a lie. It starts to sound like the air you breathe. The third lever comes to us straight from the streets of ancient Rome: bread and circuses. The Roman emperors stumbled onto a formula so perfectly effective that in 2,000 years, no tyrant has ever managed to improve upon it. Feed the people, entertain the people, and they will never, ever march on your palace. Free grain handed out in the Forum. Gladiators tearing each other apart in the Colosseum before 100,000 screaming spectators. Chariot races, public executions dressed up as afternoon entertainment. Spectacle without end and always free. Why? Because a distracted population is a controllable population. A belly that is full and a mind that is entertained does not rise up. It does not organize. It does not ask where the money went or who is really in charge. So ask yourself honestly, And don't look away from the answer. What are your circuses? What is the glowing rectangle that keeps your eyes pointed down and your thumb moving hour after hour while the powerful move quietly and freely above your bowed head? The fourth lever is the darkest thing a human being can do to another. Rewrite the past. Whoever controls the past controls the future, and whoever controls the present controls the past. Stalin did not merely execute the men who threatened him. That was not enough for him. He erased them. His censors would take an official photograph, Stalin standing shoulder to shoulder with 4 trusted comrades, and after each man was arrested and shot, they would airbrush him out of the picture, one by one, until Stalin stood alone where 5 men had once stood smiling. The men vanished from history as completely as they had vanished from life. Their books were burned. Their names were struck from the records. Their own families learned to never speak of them again. Now understand what this truly means. If a ruler can rewrite what already happened, if he can reach into the past and delete a human being, then he can rewrite what you are permitted to believe, what you are permitted to remember. What you are permitted to know is even real. Your memory is not merely personal. Your memory is power. And power can be stolen from you while you sleep, so quietly that you never notice it is gone. The fifth lever is the cruelest of them all, because it does not wear the face of fear. It wears the face of love. Love bomb, then purge. King Henry VIII of England was its undisputed master. He would take an ordinary man and lift him to dizzying, intoxicating heights of royal favor, vast estates, noble titles, mountains of gold, and most seductive of all, the personal trust and friendship of the king himself. Thomas Cromwell rose from the son of a blacksmith to the second most powerful man in all of England. And then, without warning, Henry had him arrested and beheaded on invented charges. The same king who raised him up swung the axe. Psychologists call this pattern intermittent reinforcement, unpredictable reward alternating with unpredictable punishment. It is, without exception, the most powerful psychological leash ever devised. It is the same mechanism that chains a gambler to a slot machine and a victim to an abuser. Keep a person forever guessing whether they are beloved or doomed, whether the next word from your mouth will be a gift or a death sentence, and they will never, ever dare to walk away from you. The sixth lever is the quietest, but no tyrant in history has ever ruled for long without it. Divide and conquer. Because a united people is the single most dangerous force on earth, but a divided people is nothing more than furniture. Turn the worker against the worker, turn one faith against another faith, turn the neighbor against the neighbor, the region against the region, the young against the old. Feed each side just enough resentment to keep the wound open and bleeding, and while they pour all their fury into fighting each other, exhausting themselves in a war that serves no one but you, not a single hand is ever raised against the throne. This is why every tyrant who has ever lived feared the exact same thing above all else, more than any army, more than any assassin. They feared the moment a shouting, squabbling crowd suddenly goes silent, stops arguing among itself, and slowly, together, turns around to face the palace. And the seventh lever is the one that built the greatest empires of all. Become the savior. It is the oldest trick in the entire book, and it has never once failed. The method is simple. First, you create the crisis, or if you are patient, you simply allow the fire to spread and do nothing while the people panic. Then, at the perfect, carefully chosen moment, you arrive, not as the cause of the chaos, but as the one strong hand who alone can end it. Julius Caesar shattered the Roman Republic by first plunging it into civil war, then offering himself as the only man who could restore order, and Rome handed him absolute power. Napoleon rose out of the blood and terror of the French Revolution, promising stability to an exhausted nation, and crowned himself emperor. Catherine the Great seized the throne of Russia in a palace coup and cast herself as the enlightened savior her people had been waiting for. First, the chaos, then the rescue. Because human beings, when they are terrified enough, will hand their freedom to absolutely anyone who promises them safety. They always have. And unless something changes, they always will. So there they are, laid bare. 7 tactics, thousands of years apart, spoken in a dozen dead languages, and yet underneath, precisely the same. Fear, the lie, distraction, erasure, the leash of false love, division, and the false savior. And now here is the truth you cannot unsee, now that you have heard it spoken aloud. You have felt at least 3 of these in the last 7 days, the manufactured enemy that flooded your feed and set your blood boiling. The endless, dazzling spectacle that quietly devoured an entire evening of your one and only life. The big, familiar lie you have now heard so many hundreds of times that it has finally, against your own better judgment, started to sound like the truth. The question was never whether these tactics work. History settled that argument long ago in blood, on every continent, in every century. There is only one question left that actually matters, the one question that almost no one is brave enough to ask themselves out loud. Who is using them on you right now?